everybody, it's Angie here at Bountiful Oasis. We are here in south central Nebraska, zone 5B, and we have a small acreage here, about 6 acres. We have been working to clean a lot of things up around here, and we garden and grow things along with our work schedules, and we bring you along with what we're doing. Today I'm pruning up my tomato plants. If you've never pruned your tomato plants, I highly suggest it. You can do what you want, but for me, when I started pruning my tomato plants, it was a bit of a game changer for the tomato plants in general. So I'm going to show you what I do with that. So hopefully you can see this tomato okay, but if your tomato plants look like this, like mine do today, that is not necessarily a good thing. Yes, the plant looks pretty healthy. I do have some leaf curling, but that could be wind or too much heat. It's pretty full and it's pretty bushy and it's all over the ground. So today I am pruning up my tomato plants and getting them tied up to my fence. A lot of people use like those little clip things. I just use string to tie them up. When you prune a tomato plant, you want to find your main stalk and follow it up. This one's a little curly because I've waited way too long, but you want to find your main stalk, and you do not want to cut anything off of the main stalk of your tomato plant because then it will stop growing. So what I do is down to toward the bottom, I cut anything off of that main stalk, and it's gonna be like, if you, like me, didn't do this soon enough, it is really gonna look like a lot that you're taking off of your tomato plant, and it will be, but your tomato will thank you for it later. Get that one off of there. And once we start getting some of these off, and I just cut it right. Okay, I've got most of these off of the very bottom. Now we have a nice clean stalk at the bottom, and I'm actually going to go up just a little further. Cut them right up next to the stalk. And so now I can see my main branch, and I can take and tie everything up. And it's gonna look a lot more sparse, but your tomato is gonna be much happier for this. The airflow is gonna get through, and you're not gonna have branches on the ground that can contribute to disease. And then I just take my string and I tie it. So I still have some string on here from last year. I reuse as much as I can, and then when I need new, I use new. All right, I have this tomato mostly trimmed up, and I have it just tied right to my fence line there. So it just kind of keeps everything a little neater. It's a little easier to harvest your tomatoes, but your tomato is going to be much healthier for this. Like I said, airflow through there, and if you live in a really humid area like we do, that's pretty important. It's gonna be a little scary the first time you do it. Another thing you can prune off, let's see if I can show you this. So, see if I can get this to focus here so you can see this there's a little branch growing up between the main branch coming off and the main branch going up. That's a sucker. You can take those right off. Some people prune a lot more than I do. Some people might prune less. Maybe you don't prune at all. But if you don't, I would recommend it. So like right here is this sucker in between. If you can see that, we're just gonna pinch that one right off and take it out of there. Because the tomato is gonna continue to grow. We've got some blossoms coming on. Let's see if you can see this. We've got some blossoms coming on. The tomato will just be much healthier in the long run. So now that I've got this tomato pruned and it's growing up the way it's supposed to, I will continue to prune and tie things up as I need to. I'll continue to tie this up. It's gonna grow much better now. I waited way too long this year to get my tomatoes pruned, but we're getting it done today. Another reason to go through your plants in your garden on a regular basis, you never know what you're gonna find. Look, we've got a tomato set on this plant right here. I believe this is a grape tomato, so it's the first one we have set on of the year, so that's kind of exciting. Although I don't really like tomatoes. Here's some more. It's a good thing I'm doing this today. I really would not have been able to wait any longer. But here's a really good view of what a sucker looks like. It just comes up in between the two bigger branches, and you can just pinch those off. Here's one that's a little bit bigger. We're just going to take that one off too. And then your plant gets to put more energy into what it needs to. All right, I got them all tied up. There's some more pruning I could do to almost all of these, but I'm gonna give them a couple of days, and I could maybe then tie some more of the branches up or prune some more stuff off. So these in this row here are all of the slicers. This one I really pruned a lot off of, and like I said, look at everything I pulled off. This is just one little pile. Here's another pile. We're just gonna let that disintegrate down into the ground. But it's kind of scary. The first time you ever do this, it's gonna be a little scary. Just don't trim off that main branch and you're gonna be fine if you've never pruned your tomatoes before. But this row is all slicers. There's some big boys, there's some jet stars in this row here. You can tell that the leaves are a little bit bigger and fuller. They're just kind of a heavier tomato plant in general. So that's what this row all is. I don't think I put in any, no, I didn't. I didn't put any cherry tomatoes in this year, but we do have the one grape tomato. And then this row is all the paste tomatoes. They're a bit of a more, they're still a fairly hefty plant, but they're a bit more slender and compared to the slicers. So see, this plant is really kind of wonky and all over. I'm going to give it a few days and I should be able to tie it up some more and get it going the right direction, and possibly prune off just a few more branches to give it a good go. This one is a nice big tall one. It's doing pretty well, other than like I said, you see some leaf curl here. Leaf curl on tomatoes can mean a lot of different things. Yes, it can mean some diseases, but it could be water, too much water, not enough water, too much sun hitting it, too much wind. It's a way for the tomato to protect itself. So, and with all the wind we've had and the inconsistent water that we've got going on, that could be a big part of it. This is the one grape tomato that we have. And you can see it's a very much more dainty plant compared to the other ones. More paste tomatoes. We have a lot of blossoms setting on. And as soon as those tomatoes are ripe, I'm gonna pick them. I may pick them, I've gotten so I pick them just before they're fully ripe. Otherwise the grasshoppers seem to get to them. And here pretty soon, I'm gonna take, and this is just something I do every year, just because I've had to do it in the past and it just avoids blossom end rot. I'm gonna take some Tums, smash it up in a pump sprayer with some water and spray all of my tomatoes and my peppers down with that. Because if blossom end rot, one of the reasons can be a calcium deficiency, and there could be a lot of reasons for that too. It could be the soil, it could be they're getting too much water or not enough water to be able to suck up those nutrients. So I just give up about 2 or 3 times a year, spray them all down with that, and then I don't get any blossom end rot. It's organic and it's easy and it's cheap. And I'm all about easy and cheap when it comes to the gardening. So that's how the tomatoes are looking so far this year, guys. This is kind of what happens when a tomato, this tomato kind of lost its top or got bent over like really early on when we planted it out here. And it just stopped growing and now it's shriveling up. I just kept it out here because I wanted to be able to show you whenever I got around to pruning the tomatoes. So I'm actually going to pull this one today. It was a paste tomato. I have about 7 or 8 more paste tomatoes planted out here, so it's okay. It's part of the reason why we plant plenty. We want to harvest plenty all at once to be able to do something with, and we have a little bit of room for loss. This cat is following me everywhere I go today. And now we're done working outside for the day.